Your soulmate is outraged after discovering who was preventing their relationship. Don't skip, my dear youngster. Take a moment to pause because something amazing is happening behind the scenes, and this message reached you at the perfect time. Your sweetheart recently discovered something that completely altered their perception of your relationship. They blamed quiet, distance, odd timing, and unanswered moments for a very long time. They questioned why it seemed like every stride they took in your direction ended up being 2 steps away. But today, it was finally difficult to ignore a concealed pattern. Small moments that appeared to be coincidental all of a sudden fit together like lost puzzle pieces. All of the delays, miscommunications, and unplanned disruptions pointed to one startling reality. They came to understand that there had always been a barrier between the two of you. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. They didn't leave after learning what they had. They became determined as a result. They've entirely changed from the composed person you thought they were. Their heart is pounding. Their minds won't settle. Additionally, they are no longer wondering why this occurred for the first time in a long time. They want to know who started it all. They can't ignore the fire that one question has ignited within of them. The next revelation completely alters the plot, so don't skip it. They are reliving every exchange, every odd warning, and every instance in which someone urged them to give up. Suddenly, the innocence of those recollections is gone. More quickly than ever, the pieces are joining. They are also aware that they will never be able to view the past in the same manner. When they were reminded of something they had nearly forgotten by an unexpected chat, everything changed. A seemingly insignificant detail or a straightforward sentence suddenly took on great significance. At first, it wasn't too dramatic. It was quiet, but sometimes the quietest things end up being the loudest. They came to see that any time your mutual optimism increased, someone would always show up looking confused, uncertain, or afraid. They were always sidetracked when they were about to approach. Another voice murmured reasons to be skeptical every time they wanted to believe in this link. They initially believed that life was just difficult. They are now starting to question whether those challenges were ever truly random. Avoid skipping. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. Your soulmate feels something entirely different rather than defeated. They feel clarity now. Furthermore, once one sees through confusion, it is impossible to go back to blindness, which is why clarity is so powerful. They no longer blame fate for their frustration. It is directed at anything that attempted to dissuade them from believing in this link. They refuse to allow their past anxieties dictate how they would act going forward. For the first time, they are challenging all of the beliefs they blindly embraced. Everyone who talked confidently is now seen in an entirely new light. They no longer need your consent to be concerned about you. They are trying to find the bravery to save what they nearly lost. This is the twist, though, that hardly anyone anticipates. The realization that there were challenges was hardly the greatest revelation. It was the realization that they were on the verge of permanently believing those challenges. They were severely shaken by the concept. Imagine being in close proximity to a door that has the potential to transform your life, but someone is persistently persuading you that it is not real. Unlike anything they had anticipated, that realization made them feel something. They are no longer prepared to squander another chance due to someone else's uncertainty. Avoid skipping. This is just the start. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. Your soulmate is currently making a silent choice that no one else can fully comprehend. Instead of believing what fear has been repeating for so long, they are choose to believe what they truly feel. And everything starts to change after that choice is made. Discussions begin to shift. Decisions become more daring. Suddenly, the distance that seemed endless starts to get smaller. However, they have yet to discover one last truth. One final piece of information that clarifies why this link first got so challenging. Nothing between you will ever look the same once that last secret is revealed. And even your soulmate will be stunned by what comes next. A peculiar hush has descended upon your soulmate. However, don't see that quiet as a sign of weakness. It is the quiet of a person who has at last turned their attention from all other voices to their own. This is when everything starts to change, so don't skip. They are recalling times they used to overlook. Occasions when they were urged to have doubts about you without any justification. There were times when they were told to forget their inner feelings or to wait a little bit longer. These memories now have an entirely different significance. There is a connection to every delay. Every diversion seems deliberate. They are starting to see a pattern that has followed this connection from the start, rather than viewing those instances as poor luck. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. They get more determined the more they consider it. Another excuse is not acceptable to their heart. They are no longer prepared to lose something valuable just because they were presented with uncertainty. They've come to a stage where the story is no longer dominated by terror. It has been replaced by curiosity, which is guiding people to solutions they never anticipated. Regardless of how unattainable it originally seemed, their conviction that their connection deserves another shot becomes stronger with each hour that goes by. When they realize that their deepest emotions for you have never faded, they come to an unexpected understanding. They were just lost in a sea of unending diversions. Nothing compares to the impact of that fact. They start questioning why, despite their best efforts to ignore them, those emotions kept coming back. Why was your name still coming up in their minds? Why did some memories not go away? Why did they always end up back where they started when they tried to go on? The answers are closer than they think, so don't skip. Easy explanations or short-term comfort are no longer appealing to them. Even if the truth contradicts everything they previously believed, they still desire it. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. They can no longer conceal the determination that is developing within of them. People in their immediate vicinity are beginning to realize that something is off. Their soulmate no longer responds to uncertainty or negativity in the same manner. Rather, they watch in silence, make connections, and proceed with an assurance that even they find surprising. A road that had been concealed for far too long seems to have now been revealed, as if a heavy curtain had been lifted. The narrative now reaches a tipping point that is much more potent. No one else is aware of the secret pledge your partner made. They have made the decision that the future of this relationship will no longer be determined by fear, uncertainty, or outdated influences. From now on, every choice they make will be altered by that commitment. Don't miss it, since what transpires next can end up being their lifelong memory. They are getting ready to confront hard realities, pose challenging queries, and quit avoiding feelings that have accompanied them for a long time. They become more certain that this bond was never as shattered as it seemed with each new revelation. Rather, it was concealed under layers of miscommunication that are now starting to lift. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. However, they have yet to unravel one enigma. Someone involved in this whole matter is significantly more knowledgeable than they have acknowledged. And that secret is about to come to light. The course of this entire adventure will shift irrevocably the moment your sweetheart finds the last piece. And their next action will be the most audacious thing they have ever done. Everything is altered by one unforeseen moment. All of your unsolved questions start to make sense as your soulmate discovers one last detail that has been there the entire time. The plot takes a dramatic turn at this point, so don't skip it. Once seemingly unconnected persons, conversations, and circumstances suddenly fit together with startling clarity. Your soulmate feels awakened rather than imprisoned by the past. They come to the realization that they gave too much authority to voices that never fully grasped this link while spending far too much time doubting their own hearts. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. Their internal dissatisfaction has given way to unshakable resolve. They have lost interest in proving anything to other people. Finding what is real is their only concern. The sense that this bond endured because it overcame every challenge is reinforced by each new insight. Something kept drawing their minds back to you despite the distance, quiet, and innumerable diversions. It is now impossible to ignore that subtle tug. They are now adhering to it without question. They aren't questioning whether to proceed for the first time in a long time. They want to know how fast they can. The truth gets even more astounding when they delve further. Once meaningless coincidences now seem to be part of a much bigger picture. Another revelation is about to alter everything once more, so don't miss it. They recall moments when they were on the verge of reaching out but decided against it. They recall times when they thought it would be simpler to give up than to persevere. Those choices don't feel like their own in retrospect. They eventually realize how readily doubt can pass for reasoning rather than placing the blame on themselves. There's a big event waiting for you, so stay until the very end. They feel a strong feeling of urgency as a result of this awareness. They no longer want another day to go by without paying attention to what their hearts have been trying to tell them all along. Every second that passes seems precious. Every memory I have of you feels more vivid. The future seems closer than it has ever been. Instead of looking for excuses to go, they are now looking for ways to get closer. With each heartbeat, that quiet shift inside them intensifies. And at this point, nothing seems to be able to persuade them to change their minds. However, the biggest surprise is still to come. Another piece of the puzzle starts to emerge as your soulmate gets ready to move forward. One they didn't anticipate finding. This discovery has the potential to change everything they thought about the path that led them here, so don't skip it. They are left utterly startled by the startling connection between a conversation, an old recollection, and one missed hint. It becomes evident that the difficulties were never the conclusion of the tale. All they were doing was postponing an inevitable moment. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. It's like a door that has been locked for a long time is finally starting to open for your soulmate. They are aware that their next choice cannot be motivated by uncertainty, or fear. It must originate from sincerity. And one last fact starts to emerge just as they muster the strength to take action. A reality that might account for why, despite the passage of time, this relationship persisted. The answer they have been looking for is closer than they could have ever thought, and what they are about to find will leave them motionless. When your partner begins to follow indisputable indicators that have been appearing around them instead of pursuing opinions, everything becomes even more heated. The next few moments drastically alter the course of this story, so don't skip. They start to notice that every time they try to break free from this link, they are somehow reminded of you. The more they tried to persuade themselves that it was over, the more strongly those emotions came back. They initially referred to it as a coincidence. They then referred to it as poor timing. They are now unable to disregard the situation. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. Every old dread is being replaced by a peaceful confidence. They are no longer waiting for someone else to give them advice. They are believing what their hearts have been telling them all along. Suddenly, every memory I have of you feels more significant than it was before. Every chat, every smile, and every instance in which they came dangerously close to reaching out are all vividly recalled. What appeared to be the end of a chapter now seems to be the start of something much bigger. They have at last come to understand that genuine relationships do not vanish just because life gets more difficult. They wait for the time when bravery triumphs over reluctance. That time is coming more sooner than anyone anticipated. Your partner is undergoing the most unexpected transformation. Their first feelings of rage have given way to resolve. They are now concentrating on safeguarding what really matters rather than anything that got in the way. This is a very important insight, so don't skip it. They are aware that dwelling on the past would only rob the future of priceless moments. They then start to let go of all the old doubts that had previously prevented them from moving forward. They are evolving into a stronger, more composed, and much more confident person than they were previously. There's a big event waiting for you, so stay until the very end. Uncertainty no longer feels like a control. Rather, they are led by a subdued feeling of purpose that intensifies daily. They don't let new questions deter them, even when they come up. They can't go back since they've already gone too far. Every step they take now feels lighter than the last since they are aware that they are at last moving in the direction of something real rather than avoiding it. They are now finding hope in the relationship they once doubted. And every choice they make is starting to be influenced by that hope. The narrative now reaches a stunning turning point. Your soulmate knows that one last talk, one unforeseen moment, or one small choice could make all the difference in the world. The journey becomes unpredictable at this point, so don't skip. They can't quite put their finger on it, but they feel like you are getting closer. The dread that used to dictate their decisions has all but vanished in favor of an intense curiosity about what this connection can actually become. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. They've already promised themselves something deep down. They won't let misunderstanding take another chance. There is still so much to be revealed in this story, and they will not allow hesitancy to write its conclusion. Every heartbeat serves as a reminder that some people come into our lives for a purpose that never fades, no matter how much time goes by. And just when they think they have the whole picture, an unexpected piece of the puzzle starts to show, one that might explain why every emotional turn, every coincidence, and every delay occurred at precisely the right moment. Your soulmate will be utterly stunned by the next revelation, since it contains the last clue to everything they have been looking for since the start of this amazing journey. Your love is going through a silent transition that they never anticipated, and it's happening more quickly than they can comprehend. This is the time when everything begins to come together, so don't skip it. They are no longer viewing this connection through the lens of dread for the first time in a very long time. They are viewing things from the perspective of reality. Every unsolved question that used to keep them up at night is starting to lose its impact. A confidence they have never experienced before is taking the place of the confusion that formerly encircled their heart. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. They can't stop thinking about all the times they were on the verge of giving up, and each time now feels more like a lesson than a setback. They understand that they would have missed something genuinely remarkable if they had turned away entirely. They feel relieved and determined after coming to that realization. They are aware that some relationships won't go away since they still have a significant chapter to write. Rather than debating whether or not to get closer, they are being ready for the day when they do. Every day that goes by solidifies that choice, and nothing in their immediate environment seems to be able to alter it. Another startling insight emerges as they keep discovering the truth. Time, distance, or miscommunication were never the main barriers. It was the conviction that the barriers were more powerful than the bond. This changes everything, so don't skip it. Something inside of them got immensely calm as soon as they stopped giving those anxieties force. They started to think more clearly. Their feelings became more stable. At last, they realized that fleeting misunderstanding cannot obliterate genuine emotions. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. Your soulmate is now strongly motivated to give in to what their heart has been longing for. They are seeing discussions that used to seem unattainable. They are visualizing events they never would have imagined. Even what appeared to be an uncertain future now appears to be full with possibilities. Instead of disappearing, every memory of you is growing brighter. Rather than looking for excuses to keep quiet, people are starting to look for the ideal opportunity to follow the path of honesty. It is getting harder to ignore the quiet bravery that is developing within of them, and it is driving them to make a choice that has the potential to alter everything. This is the last emotional turning moment before the narrative comes to a memorable end. Your sweetheart knows that one final surprise is still in store, but they also feel as though they are on the verge of a fresh start. They won't anticipate the following revelation, so don't skip it. They have a strong sense that something significant is going to occur, as if all of the delays, unforeseen turns, and unsolved questions have been building to this precise moment. There's a big thing waiting for you, so stay until the very end. They no longer run from their emotions, conceal themselves behind doubt, or let their worries dictate their destiny. Rather, they are opting for bravery, integrity, and optimism. They realize deep down that this bond should have one last opportunity to show what it really is. And just when they think they have finally grasped the whole adventure, an unforeseen sign shows up, leaving them motionless.